It seems like every year there are rule changes in the NFL. Sometimes these changes are implemented with player safety in mind, and other times to manipulate the on-field product. Some rule changes have been good, and others disastrous. And those are the ones we are focusing on today. The worst rule changes in NFL history are coming up right now. The tuck rule. You probably clicked on this video just to yell about the tuck rule, one of the most unnecessary rules in NFL history that changed the course of the entire league. The rule was implemented in 1999 as to allow a quarterback to pump fake, and as long as his arm was moving forward, it would be an incomplete pass. And only after he had tucked the ball into his body like a married man's nuts during an argument with his wife would it be a fumble. The rule's intention was to clarify what a forward pass was. However, its implementation wasn't so pretty. The first incident of the rule being used happened in 2001 when Vinny Testaverde fumbled, but it was ruled a tuck and ironically ended up costing the Patriots a win. Of course, later that same year, it happened in the AFC Divisional, where it looked pretty cut and dry that Tom Brady had fumbled the ball and the game was over. However, it was overturned, and of course, the Patriots dynasty started from there. And this was the first in near scripted levels of good fortune for Tom Brady. What's surprising is the rule was very seldom implemented. The last time was in 2011 in a playoff game between the Ravens and the Chiefs, marking only the fourth time a fumble had been overturned by the tuck rule. However, disdain for the rule started to grow, and it was finally repealed in 2013, with the new rule stating that if a QB tucks the ball into his body and fumbles, it's a fumble. Like, no shit. And also, fuck Tom Brady. Challengeable pass interference. We all have seen this clip where in the 2018 NFC Championship game, nickel Roby Coleman hits Tommy Lee Lewis so early he had enough time to cook him eggs and bacon, and somehow this was not called pass interference. Following outrage from fans, pundits, and a literal lawsuit, the NFL actually did something which completely made the problem worse. The next season, they made pass interference a challengeable call, and it was a total disaster, as trying to review what typically is a judgment call is a messy process. And unless it was completely egregious, refs were very unlikely to overturn the call on the field and piss off their fellow refs. For the 2019 season, 53 pass interference challenges were initiated and only 5 were reversed. And coaches pretty quickly realized they should save their challenge flags for something they actually had a chance on. And so the unpopular and hard to enforce rule was simply eliminated the next season. I asked Dean Blandino what went wrong with the implementation, and here's what he had to say.
In the NFC Championship game, we changed a rule that was a significant change, and we really didn't apply it or really have a standard going in.
Fair catches on kickoffs behind the 25. This was a really short-lived rule. I mean, it lasted only one season and it petered out like fidget spinners. Who remembers those? In 2023, kick returners were allowed to signal fair catch anywhere behind the 25-yard line, and it would automatically be a touchback and their team would start at the 25. This effectively killed kick returns, as statistically it was a net negative for any returner to attempt a return either from the field of play or, even stupider, take it out of the end zone. Look, if you're a big fan of your team not fumbling the kickoff before your offense even got a chance to possess the ball, which I love, then you love this rule. And it did help with player safety, as concussions and injuries on kick returns are obviously down, since there just weren't many. This offseason, the entire kickoff was changed, adopting the UFL/XFL style kickoff, and fair catches are just simply banned on the kickoff. So it will be interesting to see this new era of kickoffs, and I doubt we ever go back to the old way of massive meat collisions to start the game.
We've got this new idea. We've got this league where we can figure out, okay, we want more returns, but we want it to be a safer play. So let's reduce the space and the speed and figure out how we can do that and get more returns in the game.
The taunting rule. It's hard to believe that grown men who hit each other have to be reined in on the words they say after launching their entire body into another man's chest cavity, but that's what the taunting rule did in 2021, and let's just say I'm not the biggest fan. The rule is defined as the use of baiting or taunting acts or words that engender ill will between teams. To me, that sounds like talking. The penalty for clapping your gums in a mean way is a 15-yard personal foul, and if the defense ran their mouth, it's an automatic first down. Look, I get it. You don't want Kevin Garnett running around the court telling Melo what his wife's vagina tastes like, but shit talking is part of the game. To me, if you don't want someone waving a finger in your face or standing over you after a big hit, don't let that motherfucker do that shit to you. As a result, there are less incidents of demonstrative insulting and more players just skipping that shit and getting physical, most often manifesting with some heavy shoving. There are countless examples of players who weren't even trying to taunt but still got the penalty for doing it anyways because a ref had to make it all about them. This rule is still very much active. Banned celebrations. It's hard to imagine a world where creative and fun choreographed celebrations were once banned in the NFL, and that honestly was one of the main reasons where the No Fun League moniker came about. What is permissible after finding the end zone has evolved over time, as at one point the spike was illegal, and in 2005 shit was getting out of hand when Terrell Owens used a Sharpie to sign the ball, which is fucking hilarious, and Joe Horn used a hidden cell phone in the goalpost after a TD. So the NFL banned props and also dunking on the goalpost, any lewd or violent gestures, and choreographed celebrations. All of these resulting in 15-yard penalties to be enforced on the kickoff. However, in 2017, these rules were relaxed as the league saw celebrations as a marketing tool and now allowed premeditated or choreographed celebrations. Now, there are still rules like nobody can leave the sideline to join the celebration, but this loosening of the rules has produced many great gems. However, Mike Gesicki's unseasoned gritty should be permanently banned. Moving the extra point back. The extra point used to be the biggest gimme in football, like me being able to smash your mom after taking her to Applebee's and buying her riblets. The PAT used to be kicked from the 2, and from that distance, essentially a 17-yarder had around a 99% success rate. But in 2015, it was moved back to the 15-yard line, making it a 33-yard attempt, and the percentages for makes dropped dramatically, hovering around 93%. Look, you can say I'm a get off my lawn type guy and that missed PATs make the game more exciting, but I miss the days when that one really rare thing happens and it makes it even cooler when it does, like Tony Romo fumbling the snap on a gimme or you actually going on a date with a girl. And now for our last rule change, the hip drop tackle being banned. Yep, this rule hasn't even been implemented and I already hate it.
Anytime a defender falls or makes contact with the back of the legs, is that going to be a foul? I think that's concerning.
I don't actually hate the intent of the rule, as player safety and increased scoring is beneficial to the league. However, I can see the potential for there to be more injuries, more dirty plays, and more workarounds. And yes, landing on a player's legs is bad and career threatening, so I'm not hating on the rule change. It's more the language that I'm seeing. It's a lot like roughing the passer or those other rules that has the potential to alter a game because of a misinterpretation or misapplication of the rule. And maybe that's what I hate. Speaking of the refs fucking up, you can buy the Fuck the Refs coffee brand from the link below. No, this is not a joke. It's coffee made from ethically sourced Arabica beans, and it is absolutely delicious. And it makes a great gift too. So click on the link and order the coffee, and again, fuck the refs.